Oi! Oh my god, it's such a scary song. It's just scary song. What the hecky? Hello, everybody. Get these sparkles off. I still need, Graham is so right. I still need to get my, what's it called? Still need to get my fucking buttons. I need to get my buttons on my stream deck set up so I can show you my funny emotes. But hello, everybody. Hi, hi. Hi, hi. Hello, Soul. Hello, Battle Toaster. Hello, Aiden. Hello, Tyra. What is, popping, as they say? Anything popping that I should know about? Before I begin, let me note down on my journal, let me note down on my calendar that I need to start making a schedule today, because it is Sunday. Schedule. And that's done. Let me cross that out. Excellent. One thing done out of the 30 million things that I have to do today. Within the next 4 hours. Can I do it? Hello, Orion. What's up? Hello, Barry. Oh, Barry. Yummy. Today, if you didn't know, which is what this channel usually does, we're gonna be playing a visual novel. Suzerain, in fact. A political visual novel. Because I'm definitely a boy and not a girl. I do what the boys do, and instead of reading slice of life, murder fantasy anime, which I definitely should be doing more because I'm definitely a boy and not a girl. Or definitely a girl and not a boy. You know. We have to do political stuff instead. Alright. So we're playing Sussy Rain. But not only we're playing Sussy Rain tonight, we're also playing a theocracy. A theocracy. You know, a theocracy. Could not connect to the Steam client. I don't know what that means as far as me caring goes, but... let me do my thing. I don't remember where I was here. Alright, let's load up. Theocratic door. Purchase. Oh, no. Well, because it didn't load, it thinks I haven't bought the DLC. Alright, well, hang on. Let me load up the game again, because Steam Cloud is not working, so it thinks I don't own the video game, apparently. Try it again. Oh. Okay. Nightbot didn't even give a reason for muting you, Battle. Jeez. What a rude dude. Alright, there we go. I wish I knew which turn this was. I think we're still on turn 1. I haven't made all the decrees that I need to do yet. Oh, here we go. Excellent. Everything on my screen just flashed, and it scared the hell out of me, so... Give me a second. First thing I need to do is obviously expand the Crown Administration, but that's not what has appeared yet, so we will move on. Alright, what's the draw? Consecrate the king at the Arch Sanctuary of Plavo. That's what I'm looking for. Now, that's the speed I'm looking for. Alright. let's go get consecrated. Let's go get coronated. Festivities underway for consecration of the king. Jubilant street festivals adorned with colorful banners and lively music engulf the city of Plavo as the impending consecration of the king's ceremony approaches. Clergy lead religious processions through enthusiastic crowds, beginning in the city center and ending at the gates of the revered Arch Sanctuary. The Arch Sanctuary remains closed to the public worshippers due to the building's unrepaired structural damage. However, inspectors have certified that the areas where the ceremony will be conducted, including the tomb of Caelus the Devout, are safe for the king's entrance. Wonderful. Hey, Battle Toaster. Did you move out? You moved over to Twitch? Well, you know. What's poppin', man? Albany arrives in capital as nobles gather. Nobles of all Rizia's royal houses have descended on Port Drazon to attend the classical concert hosted by King Ramus. Now famed composer Antonio Garia Albany has also arrived, just in time for this moment to shine. Thousands of commoners had gathered near the airport to catch a glimpse of the celebrity, but failed as he was quickly ushered into a limousine and driven towards the concert hall. Fascinating. The territory of Zeal. Will we get Zeal back? Who knows? And Pales. I would like to go for a unified run, but we'll see how it goes. I oversee the Pales Administrative District. Fascinating. Port Drazon. Stadel. That's a big-ass river there. Welcome to the early modern period, folks. Hello, Nefertiti? Alright, consecrate the king. Let's do it. We are the king, after all, and we must be consecrated for our subjects. My motorcade traveled for over an hour before the Arch Sanctuary of Plavo appeared on the horizon. Its golden dome radiated under the sunrise. It was a view I had seen countless times, but it never failed to inspire awe. Titus, who was sitting next to the driver, turned back to me. We shall be arriving shortly, Your Majesty. Good, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I was here for the consecration of the king, the centuries-old ecclesiastical ceremony symbolizing a monarch's appointment as God's highest representative on Earth. Ah! Hey, Graham, what's up? We're back again with our theocratic Suzerain run. We'll see if God is on our side. Who the hell knows? Better known as the divine right of kings. Unlike my coronation, this was a private event shrouded in secrecy. Only a select few, such as the Grand Wiseman and religious counselor Sal Ignatius, were privy to what the ceremony entailed. Not even my father, despite my asking, would disclose what occurred. He'd simply say, what took place was between me and God. Given his ambivalence towards me, his reply should have come as no surprise. But aside from the pomp and circumstance of the consecration of the king, this meeting was my chance to catch up on Rizia's current state of religious affairs. My shooter is not with me? Uh-oh. Before long, my car pulled up in front of the towering colonnades situated on either side of the entrance. Security guards held back a crowd of onlookers gathered along either side of the staircase leading up to the Arch Sanctuary, where the Grand Wiseman stood. Grand Wiseman Ignatius, looking as stoic as ever. Indeed, he is a great man. Give me a second. As long as his loyalty remains steadfast. I'm pleased to know our opinions are aligned. Titus quickly exited the vehicle and opened my side of the door. As I stepped out and onto the pavement, I was immediately greeted by the roar of a crowd that had come to witness my arrival. While most shouted my praises, there was a small group of demonstrators protesting against the ceremony. One was waving a sign that read, "Galkandism is not blasphemy." How are live streams treating my brain? We just started, so I've been doing okay. I just got out of a one-on-one with a fellow comrade at the RCA. They were assuring me that I had plenty of resources available for learning, and I am excited to dive into those resources. We'll see how it goes. These people look like they could give you trouble. Shall I have them removed? No, they have a right to protest, even if I disagree with their cause. Give me a second. Okay. Let them protest, Captain, seeing as how the issue holds significant importance to them. Seems like a new war is starting. I saw that, Graham. What's this game? This is Suzerain, Vince. This is Suzerain. I saw that, Graham. One of the first things I saw on the missiles being launched was that an Iranian missile hit the Al Udeid base in Qatar. And my dad was stationed there 20 years ago when he was doing war crimes in Iraq, so 20 years too late. Hello, Stay. Love your content? Thank you, Stay Stupid. You the best, girl. You the best. Yes, Your Majesty. He cast an intimidating glare at the protesters as we passed them. I turned back toward the crowd. They were still applauding me. Conduct their applause. Wave. Recite a Russian proverb. Letem cordiplenum quivoson desiranto. The old Russian proverb translated to, let joy fill the hearts of those who seek the Lord. In unison, the crowd shouted the same thing. It was the traditional reply, meaning, He is the Lord our God, His convent is everlasting. It's a popular trading point for China. That's very, yeah, it is. It is, isn't it, Graham? I don't know. I will note that it has been very fascinating. I won't say funny. I'll say funny. It's very funny and fascinating how all the missile defense systems that were, like, put in place out there in the Middle East and stuff like that have just been completely, like, just a non-issue at all for missiles. Like, I mean, obviously, like, missile defense systems just don't work, right? That's just not how missile defense systems work. You know, I mean, that's just not how missile defense works at all. Not saying it isn't possible to intercept an airborne missile, but, like, obviously they aren't going to be good, you know? So it has been interesting to watch just missile defense systems just completely miss their mark. Desperate attempt to win the economical race? Okay. Who knows? Who knows? A welcoming smile spread across the Grand Wiseman's face as he came down the stairs. My take is that the American proletariat should side with the Iranian proletariats and overthrow capitalism. That could just be me, though. Welcome, Your Majesty. We're greatly honored to have you here for this momentous occasion. I look forward to serving you just as I've served your father. By race, I mean racing. Why is the word built like that? Yeah. It is I who's honored to be here. I shall honor this day with the dignity and respect this sacred tradition deserves. It fills my heart with joy to hear that. I don't have to handle Ignatius in any specific way, do I? It doesn't look like it. I shall do my best to provide you with both personal and state guidance on religion. Thank you, Grand Wiseman. I aspire to fulfill God's will here on earth, just as you have done. I have no doubt. The 6 stars of St. Rulik still shine upon our nation. Come, let us step inside. We have much to discuss. We began heading toward the entrance, however, I didn't get very far before my attention was drawn to the commotion from behind. As I turned to look, a throng of people surged against my security guards. Amidst the commotion, one managed to slip from their grasp and dash towards me with frightening speed. Stand your ground. I didn't want to be seen as a coward, so I stood my ground as the man approached. Titus, without missing a beat, caught the man by the arm and threw him into the ground. Other guards approached as Titus held him down. The surprised visitor was shouting something, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. We'll take it from here, Your Majesty. Well done, Captain. Take him away. With pleasure. With a nod from Captain Gordian, 2 of his guardsmen lifted the man to his feet and escorted him away. Sal and I continued towards the Arch Sanctuary's entrance. I humbly apologize for the interruption, Your Majesty. Quite the daredevil, that man. I'm inclined to know his motivation. He was a Dardian Galcondist. I'd say his motivation. Shit. Dardian Galcondist. I'd say his motivation was clear. I think that Dardians are more the violent ones. I don't remember. What would a Dardian Galcontist be doing here? Are you racist, Fins? I just opened Minecraft Java and the first thing I saw was the text, be anti-racist. Well, it's a good saying, I guess, you know? Okay, works for me. Doesn't the Pope have that face of a man who ate a Taco Bell spicy bean burrito? He does look like he's sucking in. He's trying not to cry. Plavo is one of the holiest places in all of Rushism, a belief that the Galcondists claim to hold. He paused with his hand on the door. There was a time when Galcondists prayed here in such small numbers that their presence was tolerated. But the more Dardians came to Rizia, the more they overwhelmed the sacred sanctuaries of Plavo, Beniavon, and jails with their blasphemous versions of worship. Could we not have built Galcondist sanctuaries to pacify them? They aim to trace the footsteps of Ruik's disciples through what is now Mercopa, which necessitates visiting their final resting places. But our sanctuaries are places of peace. They're not for those who exalt violence. He made a face. Among other perversions. Come, it's time you saw what they did to this very building. Am I monetized? I am not, Stay. I am not, Stay Stupid. I don't plan on monetizing this channel for quite some time. If you have money and you'd like to donate, there are plenty of better options right now. I have a day job. Of course, I'd love to do this full time, but you know, it's you know, I feel bad about it. Money's overrated. I agree, Graham. Hello, Jack. I accompanied Sal into the Arch Sanctuary. Titus and one of his men stood guard at the entrance. Our footsteps echoed throughout the massive empty chamber as we made our way down the main aisle that separated the hall in two. 20 million therapeutic minds. Very good, definitely. Very good. But I just wanted to mine coal. You'll write poetry and you'll like it. Me after the revolution. I want to mine coal. We need more poetry writers. I was surrounded by ornate wall murals of religious scene depictions, leaving no surface bare. Nearby statues seemed to watch me as I passed. Off to craft some tea. What kind of tea, Graham? Best of luck. This place never fails to impress. Indeed it does. I've been here more times than I can remember and still get choked up sometimes. It's only fitting that such a monument be built atop the final resting place of Rizia's most revered disciple. Kaelus the Devout, single-handedly credited for spreading the teachings of St. Ruik throughout our part of the world. I'm not here for a history lesson. As a great admirer of his, I've always aspired to lead a life of devotion and virtue. It warms my heart to hear it. Maybe you have some mom name her son Sal Ignatius. That's what I'm fucking thinking, Vince. Fucking Sal Ignatius. What a name, man. We stopped when we'd reached the chancel, where the altar stood. Sal gestured over our heads to the second floor gallery overlooking the hall. Part of it had collapsed and the rest had been roped off. It's a shame what happened to such a magnificent building. I couldn't agree more. A large group of Galcondists came here on one of their holy pilgrimages from Dardia several years ago. An argument with the local Rushist worshippers led to an altercation. Are you sure the locals didn't start it? The inhabitants of Cardes, Monteclar are not exactly conflict averse. Why has it not been fixed since then? We will get to that. Sal began to pace around the altar. Uh-oh. Is that the Pope? I'm the Pope, brother. I'm the Pope. Rizia's religious climate is at a crossroads, Your Majesty. From aiding the impoverished to expanding educational opportunities, our faith-based institutions are a cornerstone of everyday life, strengthening the bonds that hold our society together. Will you have been replaced, nerd? What? Have been? Has been? Will you has been replaced? Will you has been hotel? No. Hello, Jesus. Long-ass story. From aiding the impoverished to expanding educational opportunities. Oh, yeah. All under the umbrella of our state religion, Rushism. Religion really, fooled me, eh? Can't remember. As it should be. I know I'd be lost without Rushism to show me the way. As would I, Your Majesty. But our religious unity has begun to splinter in recent years. Apart from the Golcondists, we have been rising Dasnurist minority due to the growing numbers of migrants from Wayland and Rumburg. Dasnurity was the other main branch of the Nurist religion, observed in most countries to our north. Its followers relied on the writings of Saint Dast as the only pure scripture. Lena had been a follower, but converted to Rushism on joining the Rizian royal family. A sacrifice, but one she gladly made in order to be with me. I would never counsel this country to turn away people in need, Your Majesty, but I do worry that our Rushist values are in danger of becoming diluted. Golconda pose a particularly large threat, using Rushism as a cover for blasphemy. As long as you are Grand Wiseman, I'm sure those values will be preserved. That's very kind, Your Majesty. He stopped pacing and looked around the hall. Sanctuaries such as this one are the core of our religious communities. Without a place to congregate, the faithful are left wandering without guidance. And I'm sorry to say your father, Nur bless his soul, left us with quite a bit of work to do with regards to the upkeep. He pointed once more to the balcony. I know he wished to return this sacred Rushist site to its former grandeur. He agreed with me that state funds should be allocated for the project. However, he also deluged with requests from the Dasnur's community. In particular, the Grand Sanctuary of Salabas has long been too small to serve worshippers' needs and is urgently in need of expansion. How's my Suzerain? We are becoming a religious state! A theocracy. Afraid of angering one religious group by prioritizing the needs of the other, he funded neither. Why didn't he just fund both projects? I agree, Your Majesty, but King Valero was hesitant to let go of such a large sum at once. Considering the state of our treasury, I don't know what he was worried about. With the entire religious community's attention on today's ceremony, there will never be a more opportune time to sign the order, and from there, we can construct new sanctuaries all over the land. So that more people may bask in Glad's glory. In Glad's glory. I love Glad's glory. Precisely. Why is the government's responsibility to fund sanctuaries? Couldn't Rizia's religious congregations pay their own repairs and expansions? Why be so afraid of angering Dasnurist? Here's what I think. Sal closed his eyes and tilted his head up slightly, awaiting my next words. Both projects are equally important in my eyes. I will speak to Elena about funding both the Plavo restoration and the Salabas Grand Sanctuary expansions. The holy man let out a small gasp. Nur be praised. This is the most auspicious start to today's ceremony, and God willing, it is only the beginning of Rizia's religious renaissance. Ain't that the truth, brother? Ain't that the truth? Sal spread his arms wide open. Oh, right, it's a theocracy. I'm gonna piss and shit my pants. Long-ass story, it's never-ending, Vince. It's never-ending. With great honor, I shall lead you as you step across the threshold and unite with the divine. He motioned toward a stone archway leading out of the chamber. I followed the Grand Wiseman down a long corridor. We eventually reached an imposing iron door. Behind it was a descending spiral staircase illuminated by torches mounted on the walls. How medieval. What's down there? Come and see for yourself. Please do not piss live on stream. I'll do my best, for sure. This way, Your Majesty. I continued after him as we went down the stairs, which seemed to go on forever. Before long, we'd reached the bottom, where I was greeted by a wall of human bones that were carefully stacked from top to bottom. Ah, yes. France, where the bones flow like wine. In an adjacent room, there were several tombs, each adorned with intricate decorations. Welcome to the catacombs. I had no idea this was down here. So Portuguese, for sure, dude, for sure. Very Catholic. Most don't. As for the tomb's tenants, they're mostly wealthy noblemen and their families alongside other well-to-do individuals throughout the centuries. Fascinating. I'd love to hear more about them. We shouldn't delay the ceremony much longer, but very well. Who would you like to know about? The first two. That would be the tomb of Teleria Cesaro. Not only was the Earl of Havas, he was the most revered general during the War of Rizian Succession. Even though House Cesaro ultimately lost the war, the general never lost a single battle. After the war, he established Camp Domu, Rizia's largest military base to this day. Yes, I'm quite familiar with his reputation. His mentioning of Camp Domus floated my mind with fond memories of my time there as a young recruit. They rizzed him to death. Can I eat the old man yet? Of course, Isaiah. Of course. The blood rite has yet to commence, but have a nibble, if you will. Second tomb. That would be Aurelia Itzaro. If you remember your history, he was the famed industrialist of the 19th century whose revolutionary mining equipment led to the Second Rizian Gold Rush. He single-handedly brought incomprehensible wealth to the kingdom overnight, granting us enduring power and influence. While he isn't of royal lineage, his legacy earned him a place amongst them. Commoner buried among the Monteclar nobility. What an insult. A pioneer to whom we all owe a debt of gratitude. Rizia could use more innovators. As long as they remember that it is led by the Lord's grace, not man's, that Rizia is blessed with such abundant resources. How about the third one? Decorated in gold, I would have considered it the most splendid of all, if not for the hole in the lid, through which I could catch a glimpse of the skeletal remains within. Here lies Breda Cesaro, the first Duke of Monteclar. All members of the royal house of Cesaro are descended from him. The damage to his tomb was another casualty of the Golconda's pilgrims when a piece of the above ceiling came crashing down. Thanks to the funds that will now be put towards repairs, poor Bradus can finally be relayed to rest. Time to move on. Very well. This way, Your Majesty. As we made our way down the tunnel, the ceiling began to close in around us. Feelings of claustrophobia began to sink in. Just when it seemed like the tunnel would never end, we emerged into a vast cavern, also illuminated by torchlight. Several wishers, lesser in rank than sound, were awaiting us. At the heart of the room stood a circle of 6 columns, each bearing the single star delicately carved upon them. They were arranged around a marble sarcophagus. It is the holiest of honors to be allowed here. Indeed, Your Majesty, this is the tomb of Kalos the Devout. Why is the old man still talking? He will lead us in a counter-reformation. Of a certain someone? Who do I look like? I hope it isn't bad. Rare are those who have set foot here. Count yourself among the blessed few. Kalos the Devout's effigy became more apparent as I approached. Sal placed his torch into a nearby sconce as one of the other wise men, carrying a silver tray, approached us. One of it was a golden chalice, a clay jug filled with oil, a sponge, and what appeared to be a bottle of wine. Let us begin. Please remove your clothes and stand on the royal seal. Why is it true, though? What the? I'm ready. Following the Grand Wiseman's instructions, I joined him in reciting verses from the sacred scripture. Having memorized them years ago, I recited them in unison. Oh, do I look like, Graham? Do I look like, I look like fucking, Vsauce Michael here. Vsauce Michael here. I'm gonna be forming a theocracy. Andrew Tate? Oh. I'm a fucking pedophile. I'm a human trafficker. Well, we are forming a religious state. Hey, Cherry. What up? When my garments were completely removed, Sal proceeded to anoint me, dipping a sponge into the fragment oil and gently applying it all over my body. After my flesh was fully coated, he set aside the jug and sponge, reaching for the chalice and the bottle of wine. 64 chunks, Vince? Damn, brother. I'm surprised your computer didn't crash. He then poured the wine into the chalice until it reached the brim. It is well known that this is the final resting place of Kalos the Devout. But what most don't know is that this is where he performed his first miracle. Miracle? Did I hear you correctly? Yes, the miracle of foresight. For upon filling his stomach with the sacred wine, the very wine before you now, he was given the ability to prophesy the future. He poured the wine into the chalice and held it high. I'm being oiled up. What can I expect to see? You will see nothing. Only the most pious and reverent men may drink from the sacred chalice. That will not be you, at least not today. You see, once this wine is consumed, Kalos the Devout's gift of foresight shall, for a time, be bestowed upon a person who ingests it. I have spent the past few weeks cloistered here, fasting and praying, in order to transform myself into a vessel for the visions. He held up the chalice once more and drank until the wine was gone. Setting it back down on the tray, he then stepped toward me and held out his hand. Take his hand. I placed my hands in his. Listen closely to my words, for the gift of sight comes in flashes. Why is this old man still fucking talking? Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Hey, Jack, low-key hoping for the downfall of mankind so I can buy a laptop on the cheap? Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Just go to the nearest Best Buy and fork around in the trash, and then buy spare parts. He closed his eyes and began taking in long, deep breaths. Close your eyes. Close my eyes as well. We stood there in silence for what felt like an eternity. Wasn't sure what to expect. But then suddenly his body began to tremble and his hands took a firm grip of mine. I couldn't let go, even if I wanted. I see a crown. It's ascending into the sky, rising high above the surrounding countryside. Nod. I nodded. With increased urgency in his voice, Sal continued. And on the crown is a fracture on the golden band. The higher it journeys upward, the larger the crack gets. Whether or not it can be mended is uncertain. Gesture for him to keep going. His grip tightened. I now see soldiers, many soldiers, war, and death, so much death. Remain silent and continue. I continue to listen closely to his words. I now see two individuals. They are embraced in each other's arms, lovers. They are surrounded by people both for and against their union. Listen without interruption. Before me now is a heart. It's being stabbed by a sword. Offer no reply. Now I behold an endless sea of people stretching as far as the eye can see. They're marching towards the royal palace. In joy or anger, I cannot say for sure. Above them are birds, tens of thousands of them, so thick they blacken the sky. They're migrating from the distant lands and making their nest in ours. I didn't speak, just listen. He paused, deep in thought, then let out a small laugh. A lamb. I see a charming little lamb. Once separated from its flock by a great wolf, it now reunites with them. Hold your tongue. And on a nearby mountain overlooking the city sits a beast with 3 heads. Each head is fighting with the other. They must be brought under control, either through taming or severing one or more of the heads, or all 3 will surely die. Offered no response. I felt Sal loosen his hold of me, letting go. I looked at him curiously until he finally spoke. The visions have stopped, thus concluding the ceremony. I think I understand. Good, for it's now up to you to decipher their meaning. That's the gift and the curse that comes with the divine right of the king. After a long moment during which he seemed to still be recovering, he spoke again. Surely you now feel it, your majesty. The will of the divine coursing through your veins. It's your responsibility to carry out what he has ordained, and is now in his mind to aid you in your holy duty. It's a very heavy burden, wise man, but I accept it. I pray he and you will guide me to do what is best for our country. Halaita. And not in agreement with the ancient Ruish term, it was short for Descensi Halaita Verenten. If it is said, so it is, so it will be. One of the Grand Wiseman priests handed him a wooden case. In honor of this momentous day, I'd like you to bestow upon you one of the most sacred nearest relics in Rizia. He opened the case to reveal an intricately decorated scepter. Put so much effort into this old man's dialogue, truly. Solution stealing? Why must the Pope have mastered a higher gooning plane? Yes, yes! The Pope must ascend to the gooning plane. Saint Dast's Scepter. It is said that before the time of Saint Ruick, Master Artisan Dorian Extiberia had a vivid dream in which Saint Dast appeared, urging him to create the scepter to encapsulate the Pillars of Nirity. Driven by this divine vision, Dorian meticulously designed and forged the scepter, believing it to be his sacred duty to honor the saint's legacy. And now I give it to you. Take the scepter. I took the scepter from him. I am deeply humbled and profoundly grateful for this extraordinary honor. A reminder that while we espouse the 6 tenets of Rushism now, it was Saint Dast who created the original foundations of our faith. I'm deeply humbled and profoundly grateful for this extraordinary honor. I put on my clothes and made my way back to the catacombs until I reached the surface. The events of today forever burned into my memory. Part of me questions whether or not what I experienced was real. If it was, did I accept the responsibility that came with my consecration? Did I really speak for the divine? Before long, I was back on the road again, back to reality. As the Archsanctuary of Plavo faded from view, my mind began to settle. I thought more about the visions and what they meant. And if they were real, what my next step should be. Fuck! Ah! We've been consecrated. We are now king of the realm. That's a brain freeze. Slow down. Take it easy, you know? Warm your body up, and then consume the holy light of the iced cream, of the post-iced cream. The royal consecration ceremony reaffirms the monarchy religious unity. Religion's role in the affairs of state have been upheld through King Rames's partaking in the consecration of the king. Hosted by the Archsanctuary of Plavo, the secret ceremony was presided over the Grand Wiseman and Royal Councilman Sal Ignatius. It brings me joy to announce that His Majesty, the King, has reaffirmed his commitment to the Rushist faith, said Wiseman Ignatius. Not only does our crowned head embody the spirit of Rizian people, but of the Lord Almighty. May his long reign be a beacon to the faithless and shining light to those who proudly devote themselves to the one true God. Indeed. Hey, Brandon, what's up? Glad you're doing okay. Yeah, I'm also just chilling, reading some books. We at the Herald believe that the harmonious collaboration between the sanctuary and the state can yield numerous benefits, ultimately contributing to a more compassionate, inclusive, and prosperous society. We eagerly await what the fruits of this partnership will continue to bring. The Crown has begun a restoration project to return the Plavo Archsanctuary to its former glory. One of the most revered religious landmarks in the kingdom, this site has served as a beacon of faith and knowledge for generations. Under His Majesty's decree, skilled artisans and historians are working to restore the sanctuary's golden dome and sacred halls. The restoration will not only preserve this historic landmark, but will also attract devout travelers from across the kingdom. Whoa, hang on. Whoopsie doodle. Well, reinforcing Plavo's role as the center of religious and cultural significance. As the work progresses, the kingdom reaffirms its commitment to preserving its sacred heritage for future generations. And a new look at Salabas. Interesting. The expansion of the Grand Sanctuary of Salabas is officially underway, reinforcing its status as one of the kingdom's most sacred sites. His Majesty's decree ensures that the sanctuary will be able to accommodate larger gatherings and continue to guide the faithful on their spiritual journey. Pilgrims and worshippers from across the nation eagerly await the completion of this project, which will further cement Salabas' place as a beacon of devotion. As construction progresses, the echoes of worship grow stronger, guaranteeing that the Grand Sanctuary will continue to inspire generations to come. Read again, I'm sick of this, I'm gonna go play Minecraft. That's all we do on this channel, Vince. We just read, brother. I only play TF2 on Fridays, man. Galmland demands more, say, in Strait. Galmland has formally requested an expansion of its role in the oversight of strategic maritime routes, including the Galmish Sea, the Gulf of Galmland, and North Rican sea paths. This demand comes amidst the existing control exercised by a CSP consortium, which holds veto power alongside Volksland and UC and AN observers who attempt to maintain neutrality in marine traffic. Galmland's agreement for a stronger presence in decision-making stems from its geographical significance and the nation's strategic interest in the region. This move could potentially shift the balance of power and control over these crucial maritime passages. Slungus. Alright, we got some decrees to hit. Expansion of the Esquiros offshore gas and field, lots of that stuff, lots of that stuff, lots of this stuff. I need to first expand the Crown Administrative Authority. The Bronaz Energy Storage Facility. Ooh, got the news coming down as well. The administrative reach has been expanded. The Crown has announced a significant expansion of its offices and state agencies. To strengthen governance and ensure smoother administration, these efforts will have an impact on the implementation of national initiatives and improve oversight across all sectors. Hundreds of new positions will be created, providing employment opportunities while increasing the efficiency of public services. Officials affirm that this expansion will ensure a well-structured and effective administration, upholding the kingdom's commitment to strong and stable leadership. The Bronaz Storage Facility. As far as, like, energy goes? The Bronaz Storage Facility. Is that even on here? Welfare privatization. Oh, I can do welfare privatization as well. What is it? The Bronaz. Oh, there it is. I need 2 more budgets. Damn. Not welfare. Oh, yes. Welfare privatization. Sign it. Thank you. welfare partially privatized. Palace promises enhanced service quality. The palace announced on their latest press briefing that a minority section of the Rizian welfare system will be run by private sector in the near future, with preparations for this already underway. This major overhaul is expected to greatly enhance service quality, allowing the private sector to offer specific solutions catered to individual needs while at the same time reducing government costs. Many business leaders have already expressed interest in taking over more duties within the healthcare and education sectors, and are believed to be active in active communication with the palace over future opportunities. Naturally, key elements of the welfare system will remain under oversight and control of the crown. Eyelash sneak into your eye, I find it very bad. It's never fun, Graham. It's never fun. It's actually exorbitantly painful, and they should stop doing that. The initial proposal came from the Rizian National Coalition, further demonstrating the Crown's willingness to listen and cooperate with representatives of the Rizian population. It's a landmark decree that will surely overhaul our nation for the better. Sure, man, whatever you say. And then I need to build the Bronaz energy storage facility. Oh, 3 budget, that's rough. Alright, what else? Medium global energy sale. Military equipment factory. Where would the... I don't see the military heavy industrial park. Square's offshore and gas. Military equipment factory. I'm gonna assume it's not on here. Yeah, industry park, heavy industry park. Excavate topes is what I do need to do. Hospital, consumer industry, and heavy industry park. I'm gonna assume that that's under the security one. Probably this one. Briefing on the current security situation. Yeah, probably after this. Well, I gotta read the news first. Hang on. Energy exports set to increase. In an effort to increase the income of the state, the Treasury has announced that it's exploring the possibility of selling off part of the gas surplus to interested global partners. A specific partner is still to be found, but several nations have already expressed interest. During the press announcement, it was especially stressed that only surplus will get sold, in order to not endanger Rizia's domestic supply. A beneficial deal will be sought that still ensures Rizia's domestic supply remains secured. Construction begins on the Bronaz energy storage project. Construction has commenced on the new energy storage facilities in Bronaz. A strategic move by King Rama's Taurus to bolster Rizia's energy security. These state-of-the-art facilities will store surplus energy generated during peak production periods, preventing shortages during high demand and significantly reducing upkeep costs. Overseen by Councillor of Treasury Elna Werner, this project aims to modernize the nation's infrastructure, promote efficient resource use. The project displays King Ramos' vision for a resilient and self-sufficient energy future for the kingdom. Rizia to become energy exporter. Your eye is chill once again, Graham. Careful, careful, dude. They kill you. They kill you over stuff like that. Rizia's kingdom has announced to Mercopan nations that it's looking to step up its export of gas. The country's looking for regional partners to sell to, intending to improve its diplomatic standing through the trade of one of its most valuable resources. On the way back from the Plavo Arch Sanctuary, I met my council in the city of Folca de Tor for a briefing of the security and military situation. The so-called Forge of Rizia was famous for its numerous foundries and factories in which iron from the nearby hills was transformed into rifles and handguns. Largest of them all was the Royal Folk Foundry. Folce Foundry. Folce de Tor. Folce Foundry. Responsible for supplying the Rizian police and military. The red brick complex towered at the end of the King's Avenue, Folce de Tor's main road. Folce de Tor. My council and I were given a tour of the facilities before settling around the table in the Foundry's Great Hall. Murals on the walls around us depicted the city's history as an industrial center. As Duchess of the Province and my War and Security Counselor, Lucita, sat at the head of the table, she nodded at the rest of us. Your Majesty, Your Highness, my esteemed fellow counselors. I planned this meeting here so that the king would have a shorter journey after his consecration ceremony. I'm sure the proceedings were very taxing, Your Majesty, whatever they were. It was taxing for sure, but it was my duty as king to bear that burden. Let's hope that something useful came out of all that. Sal was sitting across from me, still wearing his robes. He smiled enigmatically. Religion is not a tool to be used, Mrs. Aro. It is a guiding light that shines even on those who do not believe in it. Hugo nodded approvingly. I know better than to pry into the contents of the ceremony, Your Majesty, but I will say I hope it was an enlightening experience. You may proceed with your briefing, Duchess Aro. Fuck. With great pleasure, Your Grace. She gestured at one of the murals on the wall. It depicted a beautiful but severe-looking woman riding a horse down the King's Avenue, her rifle at the ready. My ancestress, Anna Azaro, ordered the construction of the foundry in 1812, immediately after the end of the War of Rizian Succession. House Azaro knows that peacetime is not a period of rest. It is a time to gather our strength and hone our weapons for when they are next needed, because they most certainly will be needed. We should remain vigilant and prepared, but not to the point where our military forces detract from the needs of the Rizian people. Safety is at the top of the hierarchy of our people's needs, is it not? Everything else is optional. I could hear the passion rising in her voice. Our failure to win the Reclamation War and the Rebellion of 1926 served as a double blow to the Rizian armed forces. Even after my father purged the troops and general staff of all suspected traitors to the throne, His Majesty King Valero was reluctant to restore our military to its former strength. As a result, Your Majesty, we are ludicrously underprepared for a country of our size. Understanding the details will help me plan more effectively. We're facing shortages in critical areas like armored vehicles, advanced communication technology, and even basic infantry gear. Now, word about our military priorities. Opting not to focus on any particular branch will allow us to allocate resources flexibly across various national priorities. The strength of our Rizian armed forces lies in the diversity of our resources and units. We have manpower ready for duty as long as they're equipped with the necessary gear. But training is key. Each unit from infantry to naval requires preparation. We can't expect our men and women in uniform to go into battle with no experience. Ultimately, it's the readiness of our forces that will determine how well we can uphold our sovereignty and carry out our military strategies. How do the costs and training equipping our units compare? The costs vary by unit. Obviously, the more complex the training and equipment, the more expensive it will be. Is there a word that I hate? Not particularly. I'm not like millennial coded where I'm like, oh, I can't hear the word moist or I'll cringe and come. And I'm like, no shot. At least that I know of consciously right now. I'm sure there's something there. I appreciate all this information. I'll relay my instructions to you after the meeting ends. Lucita nodded with satisfaction. If our kingdom took anything away from the Pales and the Rebellion, is that we learned the deadly cost of unpreparedness. Our troops must reflect Rizia's resilience, ensuring such blows never weaken us again. We can achieve this thanks to my house. Camp Domus still runs the most rigorous, high-quality training program on the continent, right, Captain Gordian? With lightning speed, she reached under the table, pulled out a knife, and hurled it in the direction of the doorway. Titus languidly snatched it out of the air. Very good. Your house should be commended for its deep devotion to protecting this country. We're pleased to serve. She grinned briefly before regaining her poise. Of course, national security doesn't begin and end with the Rizian military. We also have our police and intelligence divisions to think about. A few more questions regarding the military. I'm here to answer them, Your Majesty. Where should I start? Oh, the state of our military production industry. Lucita sighed. Despite our very grand surroundings, we have long neglected the potential of Folca de Tor. Rumberg currently supplies us with the bulk of our weaponry, including their Ka-74 rifles. But if we invested more into research, development, and production in this city, our small arms industry could become a real force to be reckoned with. Hello, smuggler. Am I gay? That's a great question. I'll tell you what. You tell me. Am I gay? I imagine that would give a boost to the local economy as well. It would, Your Majesty. As long as there were enough people available to fill the new positions, that would be created. We would unfortunately still have to rely on Rumberg for weaponry such as missiles, although I've also seen promising developments in Dardia. Weapons deal with Dardia could help improve relations between our countries. It would depend on what they demand in return, Your Majesty. but I've set aside time to discuss Dardia during our upcoming foreign policy meeting. I look forward to that conversation, Mr. Squeeble. Where were we, Your Majesty? Conscription. How do we bolster our ranks? Glad you asked. I don't know, that's why I asked. Well, I don't know either, man. Honest to God, I'm just a boy, I think. As you know, our Central Royal Army is fed both by general conscription and levies from the individual provinces. If you ask me, the provincial army should be pulling more weight, though I do understand that those of Brennus and Valenqueur are not nearly as trained as the Cardes Monteclar. I would also suggest extending the length of our conscription period, lowering the conscription age from 24 back to 18. Why did my father even raise the age to 24 anyway? 24 is the age by which a person's brain is fully formed, Your Majesty. I do beg your pardon, Uncle Hugo. I mean no offense, Your Highness, but young people, especially young men, tend to make irrational decisions before that age. Follow you on Instagram, so what I see is kind of looks like you are not sure. Ah, I see. Nope. None of that stuff ever really, none of that stuff was ever really a consideration for myself, because it's, not really relevant to me. Thoughts on weaponry? We have to build. We must build bigger weapons. Working on your new vlog. It's been a while since you made one, Brandon. Very good, very good. They're a little too trigger-happy, you mean? Not with proper training, Your Majesty. Tell me more about the naval and air capability. Our Navy has actually made significant strides in the past 30 years. We're a coastal nation, after all, and our fleet is both well-trained and up-to-date. Our submarines could use improvement, though. Compared to those currently coming out of Rumburg and Volksland, they're practically ancient. Our Air Force, meanwhile, is still suffering the consequences of the Pales campaign. Lorento nodded grimly. We did not foresee that Lesbia would become so heavily involved, nor that they would provide the Grand Duchy with cutting-edge aircraft. I remember when our troops laid eyes on those planes for the first time. The morale disappeared then and there. My father always had terror in his eyes when he spoke of them, the Silver Falcons. And then there's the question of... Time to move on to other matters. Does our internal security need improvement at all? Less so, Your Majesty. Our police forces have kept a firm handle on our populace since the uprising. Civil disobedience in Monteclar, for example, is at a historic low thanks to my zero-tolerance policies as Duchess. Valenqueurs, too, is unlikely to pose major difficulties as long as House Taurus is on the throne. The Central Police headquartered in Rizia Imperii have been keeping the capital secure. The members of the House Saison, who rule Brennus, have mostly fallen in line following their uprising. They're content to use the House of Delegates as a forum for their grievances. She took a deep breath. If there's a problem area, it's Isa. What, is my cousin failing in his duties as Duke? Well, ruling the Brennus capital after its transfer to House Taurus would not be an easy task for anybody, complicating matters of the large number of Wezhic migrants who settled in the city following the Civil War. As I mentioned in our earlier meeting, some turned to the black market to supplement their meager guest worker income, giving rise to organized crime. What kind of black market activities? Hello, my phone. Good night, my phone. Yeah. Have to go to hell called school? Best of luck, buddy. Best of luck. Good night, smuggler. The drug trade, mostly. There are cartels connected to families in Wayland, who in turn answer to powerful distributors, Naggard. I attempted to tackle this myself with a community policing program, but the networks were too strong. Lucita sniffed. In my opinion, the growing influence of the nationalist group Suomnia has only inflamed tensions in the area. The king, of course, might disagree. I believe Suomnia has founded with good intentions, but they may have made things worse without meaning to. The good Rizians of Isa are doing their best with the resources they've been given. Duchess, my son included. Shot me. I hate waking up at 5 just... Shoot me, I hate waking up at 5 just for school. I remember that, my phone. Yeah, it's different in college because you can do afternoon classes, you know, but... Yeah, waking up at 5 is, like, not fun, man. The problem as I see it lies in the lack of cooperation between the city's police forces and those of the surrounding region. Yes, I've received Duke Rico's complaints that the Brennus forces have not been providing him with as much aid as he wishes. Speaking of indeed, it is the turn. I should take a break to rest my throat. as well as his requests that extra police from our central forces be transferred to Isa and placed under his command, but I don't think that would solve anything. Where the bread is police cooperating. Ah! They're providing some assistance, but my instinct is that they, like most of House Suzerain, disagree with Duke Rico's policies and his associations with Suomnia. Their political views should not matter, their job is to protect and serve. I have the situation under control, Your Grace. You don't need to involve yourselves with such minor issues. Hugo opened his mouth to respond, Lucita pretended not to notice. Go before you proceed to bash your head against the wall for comical reasons. Best of luck, Graham. Have a good rest of your night, man. Thanks for stopping in. 1 a.m. to 7 a.m.? Yeah. Well, Your Majesty, shall we continue with the briefing? What about our intelligence capabilities? They're just as important as our military strength. I was getting to that, Your Majesty. The Risian Intelligence Service has operated in Morella, Daridia, Central Wayland, Lesbia, and Rumburg. His Majesty Valero, however, insisted on withdrawing our presence from Zeal and Pales. Why would he do that? He was afraid their leaders would get suspicious. He may have been right, or it may have been his trademark paranoia. In my experience, we have much more to gain from straightforward diplomacy than from cloak and dagger operations. Mr. Skeeble, if you think Wayland and Pales are not spying on Rizzi, you're fooling yourself. Lorento sniffed indignantly. What useful informations were we receiving from either region before the operatives' withdrawal? Sleep more when you then wake up at 3 p.m.? That's true. That's true, Foam. That's true. We learned of the prior Duke Nyolma's abdication before it was officially announced, for one. Can the agents in these regions be paced back in those positions? Now that they've been withdrawn, it will be difficult and costly process to get them back into place, but I can inquire into the possibility. What about domestic intelligence services? Domestically, our main intelligence focus has been on preventing another uprising. To that end, our information gathering has been concentrated on Brennus, where the last anti-monarchist movement originated. Keep up the good work. I'll update you should major concerns arise. Any other questions, Your Majesty? You've given me a lot to think about. Let's call it a day. Good night, my phone. Have a good one, man. Good luck. The heavy wooden door to the hall creaked open. An aide rushed over to Lorento and whispered something in his ear. I'll see you. I'll get to a telephone right away. He turned to the rest of us, his usual jocular expression overlaid with concern. Let's excuse myself briefly, ladies and gentlemen. Please continue without me. Be excused, Mr. Skeeble. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll explain everything shortly. He gave a quick bow, then rushed out of the room. I wonder what that could be about. Anyway, if we leave soon, we can make it back to Port Trazon before it gets too late. An early return to the capital would be my preference as well, but where's Mr. Skeeble? The door swung open again, Lorento came back into the hall. He wiped his brow with a silk pocket square. Well, Mr. Skeeble, I hope you brought us good news. It's too early to tell if it's good or bad, but it's definitely impactful. I just received official confirmation that our neighbor has been accepted into the ATO. Lesbia. Precisely. Prime Minister Alvarez will make the official announcement tomorrow. Didn't we all see this coming? It should hardly be a surprise. Indeed, this development has been on the horizon for some time, but our relations with our neighbors are sure to change because of it. Thank you for updating us, Mr. Skeeble. I suggest we set a date for a meeting to discuss Lesbia's ATO membership, as well as our general foreign policy strategy. Excellent suggestion, Your Grace. I'll start preparing a briefing once we're back in the capital. We should all be on the same page regarding this. That is, after the lovely evening of musical entertainment that the king has so generously organized for us. Ah yes, Albeni was an excellent choice, Your Majesty, although I do hope the performance showcases his earlier works, not his more chaotic contemporary offerings. Music is a reflection of the times. Our era is far from neat and orderly. Why should Albeni's compositions be? That's up for debate, Your Majesty. Should art portray the world as it is, or the world we want to see? Lucita gave an impatient shrug. I confess, it all sounds old-fashioned to me. Have you heard the jazz that's coming out of Quinaul these days? But you have my house's gratitude for the gesture, Your Majesty. I'll inform our hosts that we'll be departing shortly. She pushed back her chair and briskly left the hall. I looked over at my daughter. Her brow was furrowed. The ATO? What will that mean for us? I don't know. I suppose we'll find out. I had barely even started my reign, and it already felt like the ground was shifting beneath my feet. What other challenges lay in store? That's war production tutorial. Indeed. Alright, I'm gonna hit the military decree to get an equipment factory and an excavation, and then I gotta get my budget back up to 1. A walkout to protest treatment of labor hands. Very good. Students at Isa University led a walkout yesterday, purportedly in solidarity with Weshik and Dardian labor hands. A representative of the youth-led movement called for a comprehensive review and reform of the policy, emphasizing the need for equitable treatment of all workers within Rizia. Rusty offers me a loan that I will not take just yet. Oh, House Dwarf's governor is at the parade, investing in the football industry. Indeed. Chancellor Hagel visits Morella, in a sure sign that Morella is positioning itself ever closer to the CSP. Prime Minister Alma Sultania invited Volglandian Chancellor Emmerich Hagel to visit her country. It was Volgland's first ever diplomatic visit to Morella. Discussions took place behind closed doors, but sources say that the two leaders discussed the topic of workers' rights in the Miftium International Trade Zone, as well as the potential opening of a trade route between their countries. Alvarez confirms Lespia's ATO membership. In a speech given in Perla, Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez announced that Lespia had joined the ATO. The Strategic Military Alliance focused on countering the influence of the UC and the CSP. Alvarez had been seen meeting with the Arcasian President Dwight Walker multiple times since his appointment as Prime Minister, and for most geopolitical experts, the question was not if, but when. We believe that joining the ATO is a natural extension of our commitment to maintaining stability and security in our region, said PM Alvarez. We're proud to be a member of this alliance, and we look forward to working with fellow member states to promote peace, security, and prosperity for all. Lespia is the first Eastern Mercopan nation to ally with the organization, prompting the question, who's next? Another decade of peace. Erdmarg and Rumburg are observing the second decade of their uneasy permanent ceasefire, marking a significant milestone in their relations. Despite their monarchic roots, the two nations have adopted differing foreign policies, with Rumburg being a member of Grace and the Kingdom of Erdmarg maintaining its independence. The sustained ceasefire has led to some economic and cultural exchanges, though underlying historical tensions due to the past conflict remain. The ceasefire's durability is a display of the diplomatic efforts by Arcasia. The Kingdom of Erdmarg is leaning more towards solidifying relations with Solmemor in a defensive alliance. Erdmarg, huh? Can I see that on the map? Erdmarg should be right next to Rumburg. There it is, Erdmarg. Sweet. Alright, that's all the news and pawns. So I'm going to construct a military equipment factory. Yep. And then I'm going to excavate the Topst city. Topst ancient Raisnid city. Sell military assets. -3 budget, so I need 2. Right? Or I guess... I wonder if I could just take Rusty's loan. Oh yeah, I'll take the biggest loan I can. There we go. Right. Oh, I wanted to get +6. Load last checkpoint. Dang it. Well, let's see how this goes. I'm not sure how far back we are. We'll speed through it. It's chill. Nothing much happens in the text anyway. We mostly just need to be doing decision making. Oh, this is quite far back, actually. Oh, never mind. Oh no, it took the very last loan. Shoot. Or did it? It did. Because we wanted +4. Wait, we also only got like 2 instead of +4. Let's try a full load. I may have fucked this. Yeah, okay. Well, let's say we make the mistake then. Oh, there it is. Well. Alright, excavation of the Taupe's ancient city. Ooh, I hope that's enough money. And then investing in the Rizian football. Oh, it is. Yes. Oh, what are we investing in? F-Record. Wish I got the +6 though. I might be fucked here. Dude, my screen is fucking flashing. They are not happy with me. Invest in both? Why not? Oh, I guess that works. Invest in Port Drazan only to get cultural projection. Port Drazan? Is that an economic thing? It says turn 1. It looks like we ended turn 1, though. This is a construction thing. Oh, I guess I can sell military gear, huh? I just need the money. Yeah, eventually, it seems. I think that's good. Alright. Alright, looks good to me. My hair smells like fruit. Yummy. That's good stats, though. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break. Let that load out. And, I'm just gonna rest for a little bit. I'm gonna get a refill and go pee. I'll BRB. Excuse me. Be right back, everybody. Oh! Oh my god, that's a scary bike. Did you hear that? That's a scary bike noise. That was a scary bike. That was a scary bike noise. Hello, everybody. I'm back. Went to the bathroom. Pee-peed a little. I went to pee-pee a little bit. And I did not poo-poo. But then I did get more water. And, you know, that's kind of like the friends we made along the way, I think. Alright, is there anything else I need to be doing? Best in Port-Royal. Port-Royal to get only. Port-Royal only. Ooh. That might have been the football one. But who knows? That one, I guess, just didn't pull up. Well, whatever. We'll see. CSP maintains stronghold on the key trade straits. The CSP continues to assert its dominance over pivotal trade conduits, including the crucial South Rica's South Line Path. Damn, what a mouthful. The SRSL, in a strategic assertion of control that resonates throughout the corridors of the global commerce. While the steadfast president ensures continuity in maritime logistics, it incites debates on sovereign rights to economic self-determination. Nations like Almland demanding a greater say, highlighting the tenuous nature of international trade cooperation and the push for equitable management of these vital maritime routes. The situation encapsulates the struggle between traditional powers and emergent states for economic autonomy and equitable participation in shaping their regional trade destinies. I still have stuff I haven't seen, apparently. Whatever. Salave. Anti-narcotic alliance established. Countess Leona Sazon has launched a new initiative to combat the rise of drug use in Salabas. The Salabas Anti-Narcotic Alliance, SANA, seeks to address public health and safety concerns through a combination of rehabilitation programs and stricter enforcement measures. Local officials and stakeholders are expected to collaborate in implementing these efforts to curb drug-related issues in the city. Whoops. Didn't mean to click Lesbia. Definitely don't want to go there. Foreign relations and historic oil field. Nelvasar oil field closure. Planning to shut down operations. Let's see. Turn 2. The Nelvasar oil field closure. I guess there's not really anything I can do about it, huh? Where one door closes, another opens. My shit, dude, my shit. My fucking shit, dude. They knocked down my shit. Huge military man pool. Timber scarcity. Nelvasar oil fields cut. Rise of private enterprise. Denial of welfare service to Congaldists. Oil workers commemorate the closing of the field. Oil workers in Nelvasar organized a commemoration for the closing field, marked with a parade of the workers through the town and a large gala held in their honor. Some will keep their jobs for the foreseeable future as operations wind down. Many are now unemployed and have to look elsewhere for employment. Expansion of a Square's offshore factory. Topes is being indeed. Port-Royal. Council meeting on the foreign relations. The day of my Foreign Policy Council meeting had arrived, and it was a hot one. Fans of Palace Resna provided little relief. I decided to take in some fresh air in the palace gardens. Pable had hired a new groundskeeper who faithfully maintained his father's arrangements. For he was my butler, my friend had explained to me that the plants and flowers were laid out geographically. Rican ferns in the east, zinnian lilies in the south, a Rumburg-style rose garden in the north. To the west was a labyrinthine hedge maze made of laurels donated from the kingdom of Narberg. Spent a while wandering around, and returned to the middle of the garden, where a series of stone sculptures were surrounded by Rizian palms and succulents. To the left, I saw Vina reading a book on a bench beneath a decorated stone arch. In the date palm grove to my right, I caught a glimpse of my mother. Well, it happens. Talk to Vina, I guess. Made my way to the stone arch and sat down next to my daughter. Oh, hello, father. Playing a game or what? Hello, Abaddon. I'm reading a book. I guess that counts as playing a game. Good to see you outside the council chambers. Do you have any questions about the past few meetings? I have plenty, but I'll figure them out on my own time. This must be overwhelming for you as well. So many decisions to make. Indeed. Agreed. Don't worry about me. Focus on keeping your own head above the water. I will. I've been taking notes. What do you think about the House of Delegates? Will you go talk to them? I'll take their opinions into consideration, but I'm the one that has the final say. Any good monarch listens to the will of the public. Queen Liza always said that. Wise words from a wise woman. By the time she was my age, she'd already been queen for a year. Imagine. A clock chimed in the distance. It was time for the meeting. Lead the way, Your Highness. As Vina and I walked into the council chambers, we found the other counselors already there, deep in conversation. A superpower suddenly taking an interest in this part of the continent. What's next? All of our children will have to learn Arcasian. The decision wasn't made by an ill intent towards Rizia. There are greater global forces at work than what's happening in our corner of South Marcopa. What the superpowers decide affects us, Mr. Esquibel. Their intent is of no importance. Can I catch me up? The three of them noticed me and fell silent. Excuse us, Your Majesty. We were just discussing the recent news concerning Lesbia's membership into the ATO. We don't know anything about the situation yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens. A reasonable response, Your Majesty. Respectfully, Your Grace, there's nothing reasonable about allowing Arcasia and its puppets to spread instability across the globe. What would you have us do, Duchess Azara? We're on shaky enough ground with Lesbia as it is. Of course, we should act sensibly, but we need to show the Republic and its new friends that Rizia can hold its own. What are the security implications of this alliance, Duchess Azara? We can definitely expect the Arcasian military to increase their presence in Lesbia. Lesbia already houses Arcasian military personnel. Air and naval bases cannot be far behind. Can't say for certain that all the firepower will be directed against us in case of a conflict, but it does enhance the threat that Lesbia, yes, potentially Pales, poses to our kingdom. Will this new alliance have economic consequences? Sure it will, Your Majesty. Our most significant economic relationship with Lesbia is our partnership in the Miftian International Trade Zone. Having Arcasia behind them might well bolden Lesbia to push for a larger share in the midst, but they'd also have Vogsland and Morella to contend with. Lesbia using Arcasia's backing to strengthen its economic ties with Pales could also have negative ramifications, especially when it comes to the new gas field. Lorento, what are our current relations with Lesbia? I would categorize them as neutral but frosty, Your Majesty. Queen Liza's diplomacy kept us on good terms with Lesbia for a time after their transition to democracy, but things were beginning to sour even before the Pales conflict. We still maintain embassies in each other's countries, but I haven't met with their foreign ministry since before the election of their new Prime Minister, Alvarez. Hugo, does this development pose a threat to the Rizian monarchy? Not an immediate one, Your Majesty, but we must be watchful. We've seen Arcasian-backed revolutions succeed in Rika and Xena, and we do suspect the Saisons were communicating with Arcasia prior to the 1926 uprising. Kidal's ATO membership was already cause for concern 5 years ago, with Lesbia in the alliance as well. Arcasia's influence is present in both our north and our south. There's great potential for destabilization. On the other hand, Your Grace, Arcasia has friendly ties with at least one monarchy. You may recall that President Dwight Walker actually boasts Rumbargian heritage. Alright, what do you think I should do? Everybody began talking at once. Hugo motioned for silence. In my view, Rizia should bolster our alliances with our fellow monarchies, like Rumburg and the rest of the Guild of Royal Allies for commercial exchange. Building stronger bonds with them will not only enrich us, it will counterbalance ATO's democratic influence. That's true, but we can't rely on grace to come to our aid in a conflict. For that, we will need to build up our military and defensive capabilities. I'd say it's more crucial to form new trade relationships with our other neighbors. Lesbia becomes even more of an economic juggernaut in our region, it'll upset the balance of power. I don't think we should ignore the opportunity to thaw our relationship with Lesbia itself. I, for one, would rather handle them as a friend than a foe. Any thoughts, Vina? We certainly don't want tensions to rise with Lesbia at this point, do we? But we don't want ATO's influence to overwhelm us either. What about using cultural exchanges and other partnerships to spread Rizia's own influence beyond our borders? Brilliant. Brilliant, Vina. Arcasia isn't the only nation capable of promoting itself through soft power. I have an idea regarding this. I'll bring it up at the end of the meeting. Anything to add, Grand Wiseman? Well, Your Majesty, the teachings of St. Ruick compel us to exercise goodwill and compassion towards our neighbors. On the other hand, we must be watchful that Lesbia does not use its international clout to further the spread of the Dasnurist faith. You are right to grant Weshik Dasnurists a place to practice in this country, but we must also be safeguarded our own beliefs. I'd like to get a full picture of Rizia's geopolitical situation before I offer my own opinion. Certainly, Your Majesty. That's what today is for. Lorento walked to the chamber's back wall and pulled down a map of southeastern Mercopa. What shall we discuss first? We need to talk about Wayland. Of course. Lorento rearranged some of the papers he was holding. Relations with our one-time allies have been turbulent at best since the Civil War. The international unpopularity of our current president Victor Schmolak has only complicated the matter. All I ask is that Wayland return Zeal as promised. After that, I'm happy to cut ties. The return is scheduled for the end of 1952, Your Majesty. Wayland's access to Zeal's land and resources helped bring it out of recession after the war. Schmolak will have difficulty letting it go as it's a valuable asset. Can we count on him to honor the terms of the treaty? Schmolak is not as weak as he seems. It will take a great deal of time and effort before our firepower matches his. He may act bold. Currently, their foreign ministry is working in close cooperation with us, and President Schmolak has promised to honor the treaty. In the meantime, any perceived aggression on our part may only give him an excuse to break it. Moving on, what about my next diplomatic visit to Wayland? As a matter of fact, you're slated for a trip to Zeal at the end of the year, for a second-to-last Wezhenik-Rizian Friendship Day. What's that? Friendship Day is the celebration that's been held in Zeal ever since the treaty was signed. Since Schmolak took over, he's used the occasion to trot out all the shiny new tank Wayland's oil money and United Catania funding brought him. Your presence will, at the very least, remind him of the occupation's temporary nature. Maybe we can come to a productive agreement. An admirable impulse, but this is unfortunately only a ceremony, not a diplomatic talk. For now, I propose we move on with our briefing. I haven't heard much about the countries of the former Empire Meridia. You want to discuss Morella or Derdia? Derida. Oh yes, the only fully Galcondist nation in the world. Our relations with them have become strained since the country's conversion to a theocracy. However, we still maintain a number of cooperative agreements, including our acceptance of Deridian migrants as labor hands. I must say that their Supreme Wiseman Jorga Osmal did not approve of our ban of Galcondist pilgrims to Rizian holy sites. Yes, His Majesty and I discussed that ban prior to our ceremony in Plavo. Struck me as unfair. The Galcondists are Rushists as you and I. They deserve the right to worship. The ban is harming our relations with Deridia. Perhaps it should be reconsidered. I would not be opposed to replacing the Galcondist ban with one on, say, Dasnurists. They may have strayed, gentlemen, but Galcondists and Dasnurists are both our brethren. I merely worry the growing number of Galcondist visitors at the sites like Plavo and their rather physical interpretation of our religion. We're alienating the true Rushist believers. I'll point out that our stance on Deridian Galcondists is far gentler than Morella's. Yes, Morella hasn't allowed Deridians of any kind to the country since the Miftian invasion of 1915, though the Deridians must most certainly have tried. Then how are Deridian migrants reaching Rizia? Mostly by boat across the Gulf of Mordia. So some are trafficked across the border and others fight their way in. Say what you will about Dardian's beliefs, you can't argue with their weaponry. It's a part of their warrior culture, Duchess. Their practice is centered on martial discipline and physical strength. It's good to have a culture like that on our side. Can Dardian be bargained with? Everyone can be bargained with, Your Majesty. Like Victor Schmolak, Mr. Asmal may be looking for a way to end his country's geopolitical isolation. All good, Cherry. I shall mention that the Dardians' isolation is partially self-imposed. They are suspicious of nations that do not share their particular values. Among other things, these include a hardline stance on drugs and alcohol. Marushiism permits alcohol. It's even used in our rituals, right, Grand Wiseman? Sal nodded slowly. However, not all Rushists agree that such substances should be used for one's secular enjoyment. I'm sure even St. Ruick permitted himself the occasional glass of wine outside of prayer hours. As for Morella, you've already heard about their new left-wing ruling coalition, correct? Please enlighten me. After years of infighting, the country's left-leaning parties miraculously unified in time to win this year's elections. The politicians who managed this feat are now Morella's new Prime Minister, Alma Satanya. Or, as she might be preferred to it, Comrade Alma Satanya. Hugo grimaced. Lesbia and the ATO are enough of a threat without that millennialist knocking at our back door. As long as we remain good terms with Morella, I don't care about the country's political leanings. Their leanings do affect our relationship, Your Majesty. Correct, Ella. Morella doesn't stand a chance of entering the CSP, not with its current levels of poverty. But there are rumors that Prime Minister Saltania has been arranging meetings with Volkslanding Chancellor Emmerich Hegel. Can Morella be swayed away from Volkish influence? It's possible, but we'd have to have something to offer. So far, our trade relationship with Morella has not been affected, nor has our partnership in the ITZ. But Morella and Volksland teaming up in the arena could potentially be more of a concern than Lesbia. Isn't Pales the topic of the day? I was just about to bring that up, Grand Duchy. Up the Grand Duchy. Your father confided in me about your meeting with Duke Reinhardt, but he never told me about what came of it. He wanted renewed relations with Rizzy and Pales, as do I. It's refreshing to hear you say that. I myself advised your father to speak with the new Duke of Pales, to no avail, of course. Compared to his brother Njolma, Axel Reinhardt seems far more amenable to a thaw between our countries. He wasn't even born when Rizzy and Pales were fighting. I suspect he's beginning to see the disadvantages of staying connected to Lesbia. Tell me more about the current relationship between Pales and Lesbia. The Grand Duchy has been heavily dependent on the Republic of Lesbia since the 1920s, Your Majesty. Our northern neighbor has taken extensive advantage of the natural gas reserves of the southern Belizean coast. Lesbia has also relocated a number of its major corporations to Pales in exchange for extremely generous tax breaks. In addition to the resulting income, Pales has access to Lesbian technology and military equipment, which at the moment surpasses our own. Beginning to get a good grasp of the situation there. Are you leaning towards any particular diplomatic strategy regarding Pales, Your Majesty? Not particularly. I bear no ill will towards Pales. You're right that the closer relationship would be advantageous. Lorenzo nodded. It will, Your Majesty, especially if we need to negotiate ownership of the gas field Dear Elna mentioned during her briefing. Yes, explorations are still ongoing, but there's a good indication that both Rizia and Pales can have a claim to the new resources. Shall I continue? What's going on in Swordland? Now that the Colonel has decided to retire, you mean? His successor is called Ewald Alfonso. From everything I've heard, he's Saul's exact opposite. What does that mean? Think sweeping privatization and tax cuts. Saul has forced out of power more women in prominent positions, although he has yet to pass the kind of liberatory reforms our beloved Liza did. Speaking of Liza, she's the one who first opened trade negotiations with Swordland back when it was still a kingdom, but Saul's disdain for the monarchy kept us from continuing down that path. The Alfonso administration, meanwhile, has no such qualms about royalty. In fact, his new development, Minister Gus Manger, has already had personal business dealings in Rizia. Our friend Mr. Montaro of Rizian Royal Gold has been making overtures to the Swordish oligarchy, it seems. Birds of crassly ostentatious plumage flock together. What does Swordland want from us? That hasn't been disclosed yet. The country already has abundant gas resources. They could be looking to shore up their central bank with gold in the wake of Alfonso's privatization spree. I'll contact you once Alfonso has agreed on a date for his visit. That's everything, isn't it, Mr. Esquivel? Very good. Lorento turned away from the map towards me. There is one more country we haven't discussed, and that's Rumburg. How are my in-laws? Our allies, Queen Beatrice and her country, are doing fine from what we're seeing. Miss Warner already mentioned the large amounts of gold we export to the country through their strategic port Grim. We also have a deal allowing Rumburg ship priority access to our ports in Port Trazon and Monkey. We are, in essence, their gateway to the Antician Sea. Militarily speaking, the alliance doesn't amount to much. Rumburg will supply us with arms in case of war, but neither of our countries is officially obligated to come to the other's aids. Does Rumburg want anything else from us? Maybe not from us, but the country's energy needs are insatiable. The Queen's interest in any country with oil or natural gas resources. In other words, if we do start drilling in that new field off Ailes, I expect Her Excellency will soon come calling. Off Ailes? What is Rumburg even using all that energy for? They've been manufacturing a lot more than K-74s lately. I've heard stories about experimental weapons that would put Arcasia to shame. I will remind the Council of our prior conversation regarding the ATO, and the necessity of strengthening our bond with other monarchies, especially Rumburg. Fortunately, we have living evidence of that bond right here at this table. All eyes turned towards Vina. She looked up from the notes she'd been taking. Yes, don't worry. Aunt Bay still dotes on me. I'm like the daughter she never had. Good. See to it that you remained in Her Excellency's good graces. Maybe it's time we arranged a visit to dear Aunt Bay. Anything for the kingdom. Hugo glanced at the clock. Before we conclude, there is still the matter of His Majesty's stance on Lespia's ATO membership. Do you have any further thoughts about that? My counselors looked at me in expectation. Sealing an economic pact with other Mercopan countries will help us become regional power in our own right. You'll have very good ideas. I will consider a combination of these approaches. Hugo nodded. Very good, Your Majesty. I did have one more proposition before we adjourn. I was quite fond of the princess's suggestion that we increase Rizian soft power outside our borders. We've also spoken of the need to stoke pro-Rizian sympathies in both Zeal and Pales. I would therefore suggest funding branches of the Aryan Taurus Association in both regions. Oh, let me see. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. What does the ATA do? It's a government-funded organization that promotes Rizian culture abroad. It's currently active in Rumburg and a few other Grace members. Its satellites organize Rizian language classes, concerts, art exhibitions, traditional festivals. I myself volunteered with the ATA as an ambassador for a time. I can vouch for its integrity. How do you think it would be helpful in Zeal? If I may, Your Majesty, there are children Vina's age in Zeal who have spent their whole lives believing they're Wezhik. Man. He shuddered quietly. If the handover goes as planned, we will need to remind Zeal's citizens of their true heritage. If not, we'll need as many Rizian sympathizers on the inside as we can get. What about Pales? If you truly intend to reconcile with Pales, strengthening the pro-Rizian sympathies of the population is a good start. It's also a fail-safe in case reconciliation doesn't work out. The more Peletians like us, the less inclined they'll be to attack us. Do we have the budget for it? We do, but expanding ATA in both Zeal and Pales won't be costly indeed. I like the idea. It could even give us an edge in upcoming trade deals, but I would advise you to choose between the two regions. We are doing Zeal. Excuse me. The Ariana Taurus Association in Zeal. Consider it done, Your Majesty. Thank you, Lorento, for your wise counsel. Good work today, everyone. I think it's time we adjourned. Excellent idea, Your Majesty. Thanks for listening, everyone. I do hope I haven't been too much of a bore. It's a privilege for you to share your expertise. Anytime, Your Majesty. He rolled the map back up and collected his belongings. Your Majesty, may I have a brief word? The royal decree on sovereign transition and royal clemency still awaits your signature. The delay is causing administrative challenges, and the public has started to remark about it. Allowing our decree to go unsigned is a serious breach of tradition, one that risks eroding the foundations of the Rizian monarchy, calling your very authority as king into question. Did I ever need to sign it? Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll see what I can do. I thank you in turn for taking my advice seriously. The importance of tradition in our kingdom cannot be overstated. That's all from my side. Talk to you until next time, Your Grace. Farewell, Your Majesty. I walked out of the chamber, glad to be done for the day. Indeed, me as well. ATA operations in Zeal. In Zeal. How was my day and whole week? Oh, that's right, it's Sunday. My week's been super busy. My future week is also going to be super busy. My day's been okay. Watching the Scream from 2022, it's really good. I know they made a new Scream. My day was okay. It's really long. I had an 8.5-hour shift today, so I'm a little burnt up right now. I'm a little burnt right now. Worsening housing crisis. Dissatisfied Galcondis community. ATA operation in Zeal. Topes has investments. Rifle production halted in Volca de Tor after accident. Machine at the Volca de Tor rifle plant has experienced a malfunction, stalling weapons production for the next week. Cause is being looked into, but the plant manager indicates that due to the ongoing labor shortage, fewer workers have been overseeing production at the plant, leading to more potential for human error. Excavation promises touristic and cultural renaissance. The recent uncovering of a vast resident city near Topes is poised to become a beacon of cultural tourism, with experts proposing it for designation as an Alliance of Nations heritage site. Anticipated to draw visitors globally, the site's potential excavation and restoration offer a glimpse into a historical reawakening that could transform local heritage into a shared global legacy. Promise of enhanced cultural pride and economic influx through tourism has local authorities eager to initiate this landmark project. Rufus Gragg's royal gossip. Ball season begins. Confederacy of Venozim faces democratic forces. Non-allied movement in AN group grows. Interesting. I would like to read these, actually. And the weather today? Cold, but sunny. Cold, but piss and shit and come. Oh, now I have to solve... Okay, now I signed the Sovereign Transition and Clemency. Okay. Amid escalating tensions between the world superpowers, a significant non-aligned movement within the AN is gaining traction. Discontent by the hostile actions from both blocs, this group, adopting strategies akin to Kairut, declares a balanced state towards both superpowers and openly invites trade partnerships. This trend, reflective of a geopolitical strategy focusing on neutrality and economic pragmatism, signals a potential shift in the international arena. These nations, by choosing not to align with either superpower, are positioning themselves as pivotal players in global diplomacy, potentially influencing major decisions and maintaining their sovereignty in a polarized world. In the southeastern region of Xena, the Confederacy of Vendensam is grappling with a wave of democratic movements challenging its long-standing monarchic rule. Key states within the Confederacy, including the Sultanate of Ragarka, the Holy Isles of Penguvi, and the Duchy of Tamarin, are facing heightened instability. Suspicions arise that their external forces from Arcasia and UC are backing these movements, further complicating the political landscape. The Confederate Council, led by Prince Consort Calvin Sanctam, is actively countering this tide with the increased mobilization of pro-monarchist troops and intensified intelligence operations. These measures are aimed at suppressing the growing democratic fervor that is leading to escalating conflicts across both urban and rural areas of Vendonesium. Fascinating. Alright, let's sign this bad boy. Sovereign Transition and Clemency. By his royal decree, the kingdom solemnly affirms the transition of the crown within the Taurus lineage from King Valero to King Ramus. This decree upholds the revered tradition of the monarchy, ensuring the continuity and stability of the Taurus dynasty. Concurrent with this auspicious transition, King Ramus and his inaugural act of clemency extends a royal pardon to 500 individuals convicted of minor offenses. Sign it. Nice and signed. Neutral Dasner's community, neutral Rush's community. Your mum. Your fucking mum. It's your mum. Include Elna in the trade talks. Swordish delegation first. Port d'Arsol! Port d'Arsol! Swordish President Ewald Alfonso will be arriving in Port D'Arsol on Monday. In lieu of the Vice President, he will be accompanied by his Development Minister, Gus Manger. As this is Swordland's first visit to Rizia in many years, a morning of diplomatic ceremonies at Palace Resna has been planned, followed by talks in the afternoon and the banquet in the evening. Let's see. Expansion of the Esquiris gas field. Indeed. So we shall. Esquiris offshore gas field. Signed? Signed along the dotted line. King envisions greater gas exports. In order to increase Rizia's gas output, as well as to boost domestic energy security, the palace has announced that it will be undertaking a major expansion of the Esquiris offshore gas field. The construction of the new offshore platform, as well as onshore refining facilities, will greatly increase Rizia's gas production capabilities, paving the way for this backbone of our economy to be strengthened. The king has announced that his new decree will potentially allow for greater exporting of natural gas to Rizia's neighbors in the future, something that will only be undertaken if, according to the palace, the security of Rizia's domestic supply won't be threatened. The announcement highlighted that this could provide great future riches for the country. So it shall. Wish it was cold for you. I mean, it'll warm up here soon, for me, too. Enact the inheritance tax. The inheritance tax, huh? Enact the inheritance tax. The initiation of the inheritance tax is set to reshape the landscape of wealth distributed in the kingdom. As it targets assets transferred following a demise, envisioned as a mechanism to address economic disparities, this tax positions the state to redistribute wealth, ensuring a tangible impact primarily on larger estates and affluent families. The affluent echelons of society, such as the noble houses Taurus, Saison, and Azaro, will bear a pronounced fiscal burden, causing potential reduction in relations in return for increased treasury revenues. The door opened without ceremony, and Hugo strode in. His face was lined with urgency. Your Majesty. He bowed. I wanted to offer some counsel before you sign this decree. Please. Thank you. I won't take long. You would tax the dead now. The house's noble standing, including our own, I'll remind you, depends on the flow of wealth from generation to generation. You can't simply take that away. Tell me, Ramus, was there even a conversation to be had about this, or did the RPP simply write it for you? I just opposed the decree because of who proposed it. You give them too much credit, Hugo. My decision. You give them too much credit, Hugo. My decisions are my own. I'm just saying, Your Majesty, that this is not just a tax. This tax is clearly directed at the nobility. They will see it as a message directed at them. Do you think this will push them too far? I do, and I believe you know it too. These are the men and women who fund armies, who own land, and who control commerce. And people like that do not sit idly by when they believe their future is at risk. You're looking at this as a political move, Hugo, but I see it as an economic one. I believe Miss Werner also doesn't support this decree, Your Majesty, despite its potential impact on the Treasury. Hello, Flaviori. Hello, Flav. I advise you not to ignore her opinion on this topic. The nobility are the pillars of the monarchy. Cracked, perhaps, but pillars still. Don't forget they are holding the roof of this palace above our heads. I think I've heard enough. I took a look at the decree. I signed. Very well. I hope we won't have any trouble in this implementation. I'll see you later. He bowed and left the room. Ooh, he was not happy about that. The Republic of Wayland has something to say about that. Why? Friendly. Okay. Inheritance of large estates to be taxed. In display of political unity and dedication to the fairness of Rizian society, the king has signed a royal decree enacting an inheritance tax, a proposal initially put forward by the RPP, and a statement by the palace the need to reduce economic inequality and distribute the fruits of Rizia's bountiful lands more equally were cited. Some noble houses have voiced concerns, but the king's press offices have pointed to the nourished values of charity and taking care of one's fellow humans as justification for this new policy. They've also cited the welfare projects of the late Queen Liza as an example of creating a more fair and just society. The income this new tax will generate will surely benefit the treasury, while not touching those already struggling. The generosity of House Taurus remains unmatched. Yes, it does. The inheritance tax. Look at us, dude. A modern state. A modern state with an inheritance tax. Who the fuck knew? Extensive geological survey. Minecraft don't render any block even players, so you're back. Jesus, brother. Put it down to the lowest graphics. Launching a detailed geological survey, the kingdom meticulously explores its territories for latent mineral resources. Delving into the hidden depths of our landscapes, a considerable financial and authoritative investment is directed towards unearthing potential treasures, concealed beneath the nation's crust, while the tangible outcomes remain enveloped in the mysteries of geological exploration. The latent prospect of discovering new mines hints at promising economic advancements. This significant degree assigns a bold stride towards uncharted economic opportunities, pivoting on the anticipated bounties concealed beneath. Let's do it. Ooh, that's a big one. We want to raise the income tax and medium second energy sale. We want to raise the base income tax after a medium second energy sale. Yeah. And then I cannot raise the base income tax. I need 2 more points of authority. Whoops. Well, we did our energy sale. Let's bring Elna along with us. Yes, include Elna. Ding! It's literally not rendering any block and player. All my Minecraft world is just transparent. I think it's because I switched to Linux. Lamau. Fins Lamau. I don't know anything about playing Minecraft on Linux. That sounds rough. Let's see. A mining survey. The kingdom surveys its lands. His Majesty's office has announced that an extensive and detailed mineralogical survey of all of Rizia will be carried out in the coming months, in order to chart which precious resources remain hidden under the kingdom's crust. Teams of geologists will be formed and in close cooperation with universities and mining companies carry out the survey. The latest technological techniques will be used in this process, all funded by the Treasury. While of course the exact value remains to be seen, geologists have stated that they are confident that vast mineral deposits will be uncovered. If exploited, these might have the potential to spark another economic boom, propelling the country's wealth to even greater heights. Federation of Ankara bolsters trade ties with Ostioke and Nalaperna. The Federation of Ankara and Raqqa is bolstering its economic ties with the anarchist cantons of Ostioke and the Kingdom of Nalaperna, seeking to capitalize on its strategic location and abundant natural resources. This initiative is poised to bolster regional economic resilience and mutual prosperity that challenges the hegemony of traditional superpower-led trade blocs. Raqqa's move to enhance these alliances heralds a new era of regional cooperation, potentially reshaping the economic contours of the continent and offering a fresh paradigm of interdependence in the global market. Non-interventionism gains momentum in Arcadia under Devreux. Charles Devreux, the Reformist Union Party, is emerging as a significant figure in Arcadian politics, directly challenging President Dwight Walker's vision of Arcadian capitalism. Advocating for reduced military interventions and favoring détente with United Catania, Devreux's platform represents a clear departure from the current administration's policies. His call for rapprochement points to a potential shift in Arcadia's foreign policy, resonating with citizens disillusioned by prolonged conflicts. This movement reveals a growing divide within Arcadian political thought as the nation grapples with the complexities of maintaining its superpower status amidst evolving global rivalries. Visit from the Swordland Trade Delegation. Oh, I think the statues of the Taurus family are supposed to give me more authority for raising the income tax. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. The Swordlands Trade Delegation. Although we can do this one and then I gotta go do some stuff tonight. My royal yacht, the Rizania, smoothly cleaved with the waters of the Zapna River Delta. I stood at the deck next to Ewald Alfonso, president of Swordland. After hours of diplomatic formalities and palace resin, the sea breeze felt amazing. Alfonso removed his jacket and looked up admiringly at the wide cable bridge that connected Portugal's two halves. What a great idea this boat tour was. Would have been a pity to spend our entire visit trapped in a stuffy old palace. He rushed to correct himself. A beautiful, elegant, old palace, Your Majesty. The ship's horn let out a blast as we passed beneath the bridge. Shaw Alfonso, the new town. I directed the Swordfish President's attention to the glass skyscrapers of Newtown, where Rizia's banks and major corporations were headquartered. See, this is what I like about your country. You're not afraid of the future. I'm not one to look backwards. Neither are you, I hear. I owe a lot to Colonel Saul, but it's high time Swordland moved on. The Colonel was no great fan of monarchies, as you'll recall. Me, I'm a little more flexible. I want Swordfish whiskey and the hotel. Okay. Nor was my father keen on democracy. You and I have much in common. Gus said he thought we'd get along. Speak of the devil. Gus Manger emerged from the ship's cabin, clutching a bottle of and grinning triumphantly. Ewald, they have it! I tried Contuavo exactly once from a Rizian chef in Halsard, who smuggled it over in his steamer trunk. Haven't stopped thinking about it ever since. He turned to me apologetically. Our mutual friend Rossello mentioned your yacht had an excellent wine cellar, and well, I couldn't help myself. Rusty has certainly sampled enough wine to know what he's talking about. I wouldn't mind gaining some first-hand knowledge myself. Butler! Pavel smoothly appeared from behind us with 3 glasses. Gus handed him the bottle. Excellent choice, Mr. Manger. Please allow me. He filled the glasses and handed one to each of us. This should taste of cherry and black pepper with a faint of hint of leather. Gross. We raised our glasses. To new beginnings. And new prosperity. And new friends. We drank. Gus sighed with pure pleasure. Alfonso's expression bordered on disbelief. All apologies to Geralt of Ribbery, but this is in fact the best wine I've ever tasted. I told you, I know certain Swordfish movers and shakers who'd kill to have access to the beverage of this caliber. Which brings me to that deal I suggested. Ah yes, the free trade of Rizian wine for Swordfish whiskey. As good as a way to get as any to get us our relations flowing again, if you'll pardon the pun. That can't be the only reason you've traveled all this way. Moonshine! Yes. 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 Call it an aperitif. An aperitif? Some shit like that. Whatever it is. Alonso opened his attaché and pulled out a bottle of Erlery, maroon, 30-year-old. Erlery. Our turn to be the connoisseurs, Your Majesty. Butler! 3 tumblers, no ice. Pavel approached with 3 glasses. I hope this is as good as you say. It's even better. Pavel poured each a small amount of the amber-colored liquid. I'll do the toast this time. How do you people say it? Aproso? We drank. The flavor rushed over my tongue. Wood smoke and forest moss tapered off to a sweet, silky, smooth finish. It's heavenly. Like tasting the very soul of Erlery itself. Last I saw, your treasury crone was in the cabin reading over the terms of our proposal. Shall we haul her up and hash this out? Yes, let's. Pavel ducked into the ship's cabin and re-emerged with Elna. My treasury counselor looked slightly seasick. Pardon my absence, gentlemen. Despite my Volgish ancestry, I never warmed up to boat travel. The draft agreement seems sound, but I had a question about the section regarding quantities. You're proposing an equal amount of wine and whiskey be traded per year, when more demand currently exists for the former than the latter. See, that's why I brought her along. Good catch, Miss Warner. We can change that section if you like. Quantity subject to market demand. Demand in Rizia will skyrocket once Erlery Maroon hits the markets. Trust me. So much effort into the NPC dialogue. It is a visual novel, so I would hope so. So, is it a trade, Your Majesty? Yeah, sure. Now we can get to the real reason why we're here. Definitely. Expect to see all our bars serving Swordfish whiskey by next year. Elna flipped open her ledger and made a quick note. Excellent, Your Majesty. Another reason for me to return to this gem of a country. The yacht lingered at the mouth of the Zepna Delta as the sun lowered in the sky, turning the water from turquoise to gold. As much as Swordland's most valued citizens would appreciate your wine, we believe there's something else they'd find even more stunning. He gestured at the surroundings, then went down to his short-sleeved shirt he was wearing. Shit. Have you thought about Rizia's untapped tourism potential, Your Majesty? Our beaches put lesbians to shame, after all. I'm listening. Port Trazon is gorgeous enough, but your beaches... I know that for a long time, international tourists stayed away from the Valanqueir's coast because of the delicate situation with Pales. You pronounce the last word as Pales. Oh, right, it's Palais. I always forget it's Palais. It's Palais, Mr. Manger. Rhymes with ballet. I always forget that it's called Palais, and I keep calling it Pales. Oh, sorry. I've never had the occasion to speak the name aloud. My point is that it might finally be time to bring your undeveloped shores to life. I took the liberty of hiring a designer to draw this up. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a sheet of paper with a sketch on it. I recognized the beach it depicted. It was a picturesque stretch of sand in Monquis, not far from the palace where I'd grown up. Right on the coastline, the designer had placed a sprawling complex, with a swimming pool and a tennis courts. On it was the sign, Coranti Resort, Valanqueiris. It's missing a private pier. It's only a rough sketch, Your Majesty, but yes, a private pier would go without saying. Our partners are considering significant investment along the Valanqueiris coast. If all went well, the Coranti Resort would only be the first step. Alfonso swirled the last drop of whiskey around in his glass. Aware of how your nobles see Swordish oligarchs, I'm also aware that their world-renowned riches have diminished with each successive generation. Change is not merely inevitable, Your Majesty. It's the only way to preserve the lifestyle to which we're also accustomed. Your grandmother understood that. Well said, Mr. President. My relatives could use a good shock to the system. So that's a yes on the proposal. Not so fast. Let's confer with Elna. Elena. As you wish, Your Majesty. The Swordish visitors waited outside as Elena and I walked into the cabin to talk. So what do you think? If I may speak freely, I don't think it's a bad idea. Why not? You must remember that I'm from Valanqueiris. I grew up just minutes away from those beaches, but it wasn't until I became a counselor that I had the pull to bring my family there. The resort wouldn't just open up the Valanqueiris coast to Swordland, it opened up the rest of Rizia. Shall we get back to the deck? Yes, I've made my decision. Well, we shall. Thank you for sharing your opinion. We stepped back out into the waning sunlight and rejoined Alfonso and Gus Manger. Well, Your Majesty, are we making history today? You have a deal, but does the resort have to be as gaudy as the one in the picture? Nah, I'm sure our architects can come up with something more subtle. In less than an hour, we've accomplished more for our countries than our predecessors managed in 30 years. Quite the feat indeed. I'd say the calls for a celebration. Butler, another bottle. You've heard the man, Pable. Pable reappeared, another bottle in his hands. He filled our glasses with a look of annoyance that only I could detect. The yacht began to turn back towards Port Drazon as the sun disappeared over the horizon. You heard the man, Pable. You heard the man, Pable. Okay. There's a lot to read going on there, but... Oh my god, look at these investments. I've never had investments like these before. Restoration underway, mining survey, another restoration, mining survey, mining surveys, storage facilities, administration upgrades, administration capacity, mining surveys, Squares gas field, ancient city restoration, military equipment factory, sanctuary restoration, mining survey. How about you mining survey D's nuts? Anything going on? Ah, welcome to Valanqueiris, everybody. Oh god, it is gaudy, dude. Look at this fucking thing. Jesus. Sun-kissed crowd. Alright, everybody. That was Suzerain. I've got to... I've got to go char deep nuts. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope everybody had a good time tonight. That was some Suzerain. I would like to, don't get me wrong, I would like to continue our Theocratic run. It might have to be put on hold, though, because I really do want to get back to Lunar Ascendancy. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Have a great night. You too, Brandon. I'm gonna take off. I gotta go make some dinner. I gotta go do some reading. I gotta do some writing. I gotta go do my laundry, put some clothes away, maybe. I gotta go do a lot of shit. So, I hope everybody has a good night. I'll try and get a schedule out before tomorrow. Or maybe tomorrow, who knows. Good night, everybody. Have a good rest of your, night. Me when I'm productive or whatever it is. Alright, everybody. See you around.